Hi, this is Skylight. It's an app that lets you see where the current position of the moon and the sun is and calculate or forecast future locations so that you can plan outdoors activities like hiking, hunting, fishing, etc. So when you open up the app, you see the current position of the sun and moon. So we can select the set time option down the bottom. We can animate the sun and the moon across the day. So starting here, sunrise at 7 a.m, going across the sky overhead at midday, setting at, in this case, just after 5. And then after the sun sets, the moon is actually coming up. So up the top right, we can see the moon position. So we can see that the illumination is 99%, which means it's almost a full moon. And we can see as we slide it round, we can see the azimuth, which is the bearing from north, and we can see the elevation, which is that second value there. So as we climb up towards midnight, so at midnight the azimuth is almost 70 degrees. Similarly for the sun on the left, we can see as the sun rises it starts off at elevation 0 and so forth up to elevation 40, almost 40 degrees, because this is winter. Probably in summer it would be higher. So that's for the current date, time and location, but you can also calculate for any given position. So you can enter a position in degrees, minutes, seconds, or decimal degrees. So we can set the position, we can set the date and time. So we can set it to 7th of the 7th, 2020. And then we can see the rise set time for the sun, or the rise set time for the moon, and the illumination. We can press the position button to see the position of the moon at that time and date, or the position of the sun. Also what we can do is we can bring up a compass. If we press the compass button there, we can bring up the compass page, which just helps us see which angle for example, the moon is, if we want to locate the moon in the sky. We can also toggle the pitch and roll. So down the bottom there, as I angle the phone up, you can see the value on the left increases. So when it's horizontal, it's 0. So the final thing you can do with this app is the forecast. So you can forecast from a given date range and location. You can forecast either for just the sun, just the moon, or for both. So we'll do it for both, from the current date, which is the 4th of August, to the next month, which is the 4th of September. So we'll show the forecast. So we can see that for each date, we've got the BMNT, which is the beginning morning nautical twilight, the rise time, the set time, and the EENT, which is the end evening nautical twilight. And for the moon, we've got rise and set and the percentage illumination. So we can scroll through the forecast, and if we want to look at a particular date in more detail, we can click on the highlighted date and it will take us to the page where we can see the settings. So we can, slide through, animate the day for that particular. Down the bottom it shows you the particular date that we're doing and of course the time. So the other thing here is the UTC offset. So it defaults to using your local UTC offset, which in this case is Sydney, so it's plus 10 hours. Finally, we've got the preferences page. Now you can change the angle format, lat long format, or the date format. So by default the angle and lat long are in degrees, minutes, seconds, but you can show them in decimal degrees if you choose. The date format is day, month, year, but you can change that to month, day, year if you prefer that, for example in the US. The other option here is diagram orientation. So by default east is on the right. So this works well in the southern hemisphere, because you're probably looking towards the north where the sun is in the sky, and the sun rises on your right, which is the east. But if you're in the northern hemisphere, you might be looking south, because that's where the sun goes across the sky when you're in the northern hemisphere. So you can choose this, east is on the left. And when you go back to this page, you'll see that the east is on the left here. And what happens is the sun actually rises on the left-hand side and sets on the right-hand side. So that's that mode. If you're in the northern hemisphere, you can use that if you prefer. So these other options here just show the what you see on the main page. So if you've got a small screen, you might want to turn off one of these options so that you've just got less information up the top there, so you can still see the diagram. But I've got quite a large screen here, so I've got all the information turned on. Finally, you can choose to see the About. So this is version 1 of the app. So I hope you enjoy the app, and I hope you find it useful. Thanks for watching.